Just after, thank you, just after Thanksgiving. And I wanted to come back to Dana for a moment. Dana is a very important practice in the Buddhist tradition, I think, in all spiritual practice, all work. And I think for me, I'm going to say, I think it's when I fail in uh, daily. And people might say, oh, but you're so generous, you lend your house. And I think Dana, beyond the cultivating the mind heart of generosity, is more about how we relate to life than how we relate to those who are less fortunate, how we form relationship to life. And one of the ways I think it's fairly easy to catch ourselves, let's say, when we are not in open-heartedness, I'm going to use that word instead of Dana, open-heartedness. And it is, I would say honestly, truthfully, maybe my number one failing in the practice and in the teachings is accepting things as they are, accepting others then as they are, not asking things to be different, not demanding, judging, preferring, and at least then when I do, recognizing that that is a most basic, most essential contracted heart. And I fail in it every single day, because every day there is some offense, there is something I think could be better, there is some way I think someone could understand or get it or respond, or and of course then we land these ways of thinking, these very dangerous ways of thinking on family, on partners, on children, on parents, on others, furthering separation, furthering the delusion of separation, and now working from whatever the opposite of generosity or dana or an open heart might be. And I want to check in just for a minute about that, because I think we often don't recognize our own lack of generosity, beginning with that very first turn or very first contraction of mind, of heart. Can you feel the way that that would be true for yourself? This demand in life for it to be otherwise. And then the demand fed with, I have to say, in my case, certainly infinite rationale for why that's right, for why you shouldn't have said that to me, for why I was being kind and you just shot back a mocking statement, for why you should have said thank you better, for why you could have only taken the dogs out when we do so much for you, and then you say, but your band practice today, for what, right? We spend really infinite amounts of time and energy in that separation, in that delusion of heart mind, even when then we are generous, sometimes to a fault, in other ways. We can be, can't we? We can give lots of money to end polio. We can show up at Rotary. I'm just going to use me every week. I right? Volunteer here and there. I try to feed the poor, la, 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 la. And really, this is not the beginning of the open and generous heart. It is not the beginning. In fact, if we're not careful with our giving, I think we can mistake the one for the other. We can go, but look, I am generous. I am giving. I, right, give blood every month. I do this is not the true understanding or nature of an open and generous heart. It is that we greet each other and the present moment without demand, without expectation. And at least then for me, I'm not hopeful of ending my preference. And by the way, by itself, it is not the problem, but at least recognizing that I'm doing it, right? That we could recognize that we're doing it. Do you all understand what I mean? Can you see how, though we think of ourselves, especially those of us on a spiritual side, in a spiritual practice, can fall in to believing I'm generous and then spend the whole rest of the day wondering why the partner is the way they are, wondering why the coworkers don't ever pick up the slack, wondering why, right, the kids don't call, the dog doesn't go out when he's supposed to, right? This is endless, right? And why life uh, in its perfection is the way it is. Uh, if you get this, just let's sit with it a little bit. We're going to practice now, but I want to make sure we cover this part of generosity because I think it's fairly easy for us all to mistake it as an act of kindness directed towards another. And I don't think it begins there. I think those are other beautiful expansions and iterations of generosity. But I think true Dana starts with our every moment relationship with life as it is. Can you get the sense of that? There's an openness in it, a receptivity, then a curiosity can build, then a willingness to enter truly into the moment, into the partner, into the circumstance, with the single wish, I would say, this single wish to be of benefit, not to make the point, not to get it right, not to be heard, not to be seen, not to get what I think I deserve, but rather, how can I then be of benefit? And then I will tell you, as a therapist, my second critical error is to think if I could only say it correctly, if I could only point it out, do it every day. If I could only make the case, you too could see the truth. This is a delusion as well. There is no words. There are no words in Chana, the spirit of generosity that comes before we take full ownership. This is a hard idea of being wholly responsible, says the teachings, wholly responsible for the present moment as it is unfolding, that I'm responsible for how this goes. And so then we learn, and I'm learning all the time, how to be still and silent and open as our beginning acts of generosity. Does that make sense to anybody? That we are still and silent, and then essentially from it open to the truth of the present moment and then the other in it. Okay, makes sense, right? So let's practice with that together. I don't have a bell or anything today. You can see I'm in some little weird hotel here in Ventura, I think it is, called Pierpont Inn. It's just a little place to hang out or the night. We're going to look at another car, by the way, for those who are curious about my little Jeepster trek. That one wasn't the right one, need a lot of work. We're going to look at another one on the way home today. So that's the fun news for that. So we can all put those fun things down. So let's prepare to sit. And rather than closing the eyes in the sitting, just see if we can't begin to construct that sense of arriving to this moment, this room, this place in Ventura, this cool morning. And since we're using the eye door then, let's see if we can't just see if we can't toggle a little bit between what's here, just in this frame of the visual field, and how I'm feeling. And we drop in then, don't we, into that heart space. And we can place a hand there if that's helpful and just see how we are. Breathe in, seeing how we are in relationship. And then we can lower the eyes, and if we choose, we can close them, or we can keep the eye in the open space, the field of open space all around us. That's completely up to you. But I'm just running my hand up and down that little polyvagal bundle there, seeing if I can't invite openness, awareness, recognition for how I am. I'm noticing a little bit of anxiety, and I'm picking that up by that little vibrational contracted sense. Nothing like fear, distress, but I'm pretty anxious about the drive back home, hitting LA traffic, stopping in a place I don't know. Really, is this car thing even right? Um, and there is some remnant of all of that. And more importantly, maybe than what's to come, is my recognition of all the moments where I have simply wanted life, the partner, even myself to be different, which is the essential rejection of oneself and the present moment. And so, this very turning towards my own uh, light distress, my own contractedness, as well as the reality of my own ease and privilege, they're all a part of the present. Can I hold that, whatever is there, dropping beneath that storyline of needing things to be different, and just simply rest with the truth of our own basic goodness, our wish for happiness, ease, and well being, both for ourselves and others. And see if you can't breathe into that part of the heart, the one that truly wants harmony, peace, ease, and well being. Not just for you. This is the beginning of generosity, but for you and others. Let's just breathe that for a few minutes. See where you notice the truth of that. You can certainly connect with it as an aspiration, as an intention, as a right view, right thought, the beautiful and most essential beginning. And create space and room within that heartscape, that always available, boundless heart, the one that's true and the one that's here right now. This is the heart that moves beyond that limited view of me and mine to include, to make connection, to open to that genuine wish. And you can feel it like I can, for the happiness and well being of others. The opposite, then, of self clinging, the opposite of greed, no longer looking simply through one's own preferencing, wanting, or not wanting eyes at all, but extending and expanding the wish. This is the act of generosity, to include others. It's fairly easy here, I think, to fall right into the old default network of blame, of judging, of condemnation, now not directed at the self, but now at the other, but now of oneself. This is that failure. This is not clear seeing. Any moment of recognition is a moment of generosity. Even when we recognize our tight, wanting, self gripping mind, this is a moment of generosity. Can I open to include that vulnerability, that humanness, that pain, that fear, rather than look for something to be different in me at all? Can I hold that experience? Can I breathe in to the heart of it? And can I then invite responsive, compassionate presence? Remember, nothing yet to do, just the presence, my own willingness to be with this very moment, this very body, this very heart, like this. And breathe in space and room. So let's see if we can't enact that radical act of generosity by simply opening to whatever is there. and remembering, calling to mind on purpose, not to cover over, but to make contact with the whole of the truth, is that this very action is radical love. And that if we can't do it with and for ourselves, the possibility of not demanding change, a difference, growth, understanding, or love from another is impossible. If we cannot offer it to ourselves, we will only demand it from others. And so we begin a little bit lightheartedly, a little bit with spacious room, a little ventilation, says Pema, for our own proclivities, for our own habits, for our own wanting and not wanting mind. And then let's honor the teachings that says, let's be still and silent and present and breathe in as the first radical act of love, compassion, and generosity. Asking that nothing have to be different. Not the breath, not the sensations, and not even the gripping mind. Dana Paramita, alive here. With each breath, creating space and room for whatever arises. Inviting one's own open heart towards oneself. And by this very act of generosity, this chana, remember, coming before any action, right out of the silence and the stillness. Offering ourselves our own presence. Inviting our own spaciousness, inclusiveness, and ease. And so drink it in with each in breath, then. Make contact and nourish yourself. Create space, not just around that heart space there, not just within the breathscape, then, but within the whole of the mind body, including even things like the space between the cells. This is what Pema means by ventilation. Lots of space, lots of room, lots of openness in the whole of the mind, body, and heart. Greeting ourselves without asking that anything be different. Remember, this is the precursor work. Greeting oneself and the present moment with each in breath here exactly as it is. And then with each out breath, we're simply resting in the truth that has awakened with the in breath. Holding presence, bearing witness, being with, breathing with. As tender or restless or numb or contracted as we are. Just this one breath. Do not mistake it for an identity. And now giving equal weight, equal attention to both the in and the out breaths. We arrive to the moment as it is. We make contact with the reality as it is known by this mind body, this moment. We simply rest and abide, would be the other word. Radical. Not looking for anything to be different at all. Not in myself, not in the moment. And then we're going to extend and expand that abiding to include another, calling to mind that one other who we have wanted to be different, not wanted to be the way they were. They're similar, aren't they? And seeing if we can't begin to open to include them in this awakening, contacting in breath and abiding, resting in open, boundless heart out breath. This is the only way to see the goodness in another. And the only way to see the goodness in oneself. We ask that nothing be required, nothing be demanded, nothing be asked without first arriving, holding, breathing with, now the other. Prana, in its recognition, in its cultivation of the generosity that is actually alive and present right here in your own heart mind, already existing and then cultivated further. Letting the heart mind expand and awaken. And now including another. And seeing if we can't recognize in them the exact same realities, the truth of the Dharma that is in all of this human life, their own wish for happiness, their own wish for ease, for safety, for love and connection, for compassion. And as we begin to recognize this, we begin to breathe out, now sending that out breath to them. breathing not only for oneself, resting not only in one's own basic goodness, but expanding to rest now in the heart mind and the basic goodness of the other. We narrow that separation. We diminish the judgments, the demands, the expectations by making our own heart bigger. We don't ask that anything else be different. The difference comes in the awakening of our own heart mind. Happiness for me and happiness for you. With each breath, we touch in and open again and again. And beneath the storyline of the wanting something to be different, of not wanting what's here, see what there is. It then becomes simply contact, non separation, non reactivity, the holding in one heart and then in all hearts of the wish for happiness, for safety, for well being and ease for us all. Enlivened, embodied, made real every breath. Exactly as you are, and exactly as the other is. No demand. Complete, open, boundless, and generous heart. It's right to acknowledge our own anxiety, our own fears, our own preferences, and in the recognition, they will simply fall away because they all contract. And we can see once again the cause of suffering. It was never the other. It was simply our own vulnerable human partner. Leading us to all paucity when we get hooked, all not enoughness, all greed, all aggression, and all ignorance. And then we smile at our capacity to heal, to grow, to see clearly, and to open once again. May we all be happy, truly, unconditionally happy. May we all be free from greed, from hatred, from delusion, and our own contractedness. May we recognize that all blessings begin with our own heart mind. And may we offer it as freely as we can, as openly as we can to ourselves and others. And may we rest and dwell in the great heart mind that is you and me and all beings until we are all awakened and free. May we be filled with Dana Paramita, and may we be happy. May we all be peaceful and at ease. And may we all be safe. Let's begin now with our own heart minds. And may this practice this morning and all practice, may it contribute and may it continue. So be it. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here with you, even when I can't be there with you. I appreciate you and your contributions, endless, endless contributions. to the happiness and well-being of myself, the Sangha, and others. I'm grateful always for you. And let's see if we can't practice this a little bit together, noticing that preferencing mind that wants something different, and see if we can't simply open, allow, rest, and let be a little bit. We'll be kinder for it, and generosity then will be continuous and ongoing. No one moment on one Saturday. All right. Thank you, all those that are there at the garden. Uh, Carrie and all of you, thank you so much. I hope it doesn't take too long.